Hey, it's Darlene. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my creative life. I am participating in a Rainbow Crush YouTube and Instagram hop. I do this once a month and it is hosted by Tara from the Paper Snob. She's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. I'll have all the information you need to know in the details box. But basically the color for August of 2025 is black and white. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to just do the color challenge, or in this case, the black and white challenge. It has to be at least 70%. So with that being said, I am going to be adding some purple. Now, I don't know if this is lavender, if this is violet, if this is whatever other shades of purple there are. I'm just going to call it purple. So I had this picture of my granddaughter. We just randomly took pictures. I had taken her shopping. She needed to buy everything purple. And when we got home, she wanted to model her outfit. So fine with me. And of course I took pictures. So I knew I was going to use these stamps. At first I thought, okay, I'll use them, or I'll worry about it when I get ready to use them. And then I thought, you know what, let me just prepare them, because a lot of times when you're using like an archival ink, you want to make sure that ink is completely dry before you start moving it or playing with it, because it could smudge. So I stamped what I thought I would need and I just put it to the side. I'm using black cardstock for the base. I love using black cardstock for layout bases. I rarely do it. Don't ask me why. But anyhow, I thought it was perfect because I need to kind of focus on black and white. I just went to my scrap pile and grabbed these different pattern papers. I had a couple other ones, but I really like this one with kind of the wonky scalloped lines. I think it's super cute. And the other one, you could barely see it, but it has a little bit of black lines across it as well. Now, I'm just cutting a very small sliver off it because it wasn't really straight. And I am not even sure what I'm doing. I started off thinking I'll put it in there, basically like a square in the middle. And then I thought, no, I'm going to tilt it so it's a little wonky. I cut a 2-inch strip off this paper, which is purple gingham, which I love. And I don't know, I took a chop off. It's probably about 11 inches, maybe a little bit shorter than that. But I'm just placing them down, like I said, very wonky, nothing straight. I like that look. And even though those are 3 completely different pattern papers, and honestly, they're probably the same. I'm going to use the term weighted. I know when I've taken some courses, like when I first started scrapbooking, or when you listen to people, they say, you know, when you're using multiple pattern papers, you should kind of do like a small, medium, large. So one that might be large could be like really large flowers or huge polka dots, whatever. A medium, which is, you know, whatever shapes are a little bit smaller. And then of course the small. And in this case, I think that white piece with the lines, that might be considered like a small, because you can't even really see the black on it from here. Now I can see it where I'm building on it, but the other 2, I would really probably more consider them both medium. I think it still works because of the color difference. There's such a stark difference. I don't know. It works for me. I hope you agree. I went ahead and matted those photos first with the backside of that gingham paper, which is like kind of like a muddled looking purple. And then again with black. I love the way it looks with that black over it. And I think it really makes it pop when I put it down on these pattern papers. Now the title that I have there is something that I made with Print and Cut on my Cricut. I had a request to actually show more details on how to do that. Now if you're interested in watching that, I'll have the link to the YouTube video down below, because I, like I said, I got a request and it's so easy to do. This is actually a pretty easy one. So, you'll see that when you watch the video. Now, when I die cut these cameras out, I had a whole bunch of die cut just white shapes in that package. And I think because at one time I didn't have a die cut machine, so I probably had access to one and just thought, you know what, I can snap them on there later. In the meantime, I kept them, but I used those plain cardstock ones to stack underneath the cameras because it gives it a little bit more bulk. Now, I'm not talking 3-dimensional like foam tape bulk, but just enough difference where it gives a little bit of height. I don't usually use like real bulky items in my scrapbook. I just don't like the way it lays in the book. But I like this because it just really does pop them out a little bit more. And that wax seal, I don't even know where it came from. I found it on my desk. It was probably like on a card or something that I received. Not a handmade card because I keep those, but probably a store-bought one that had that. And I just said, hey, I'm using this. And it just happened to be on my desk. And I thought, using it. So that's why it's there. And I do kind of play around with where I'm going to put it. And I do have that little piece right there that I'm going to end up making a tab for. So I grab my corner rounder. So it's more like a tab shape. And I'm just playing around with the placement. Like right here, I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this, wax seal? And I end up just putting it aside thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to use it. But believe me, folks, I use it. But I mentioned earlier that this is part of a YouTube and Instagram hop. I'm only participating through YouTube, although I do have an Instagram channel and I am going to post it on my Instagram. I'm just not part of the hop. But so again, once a month, and it's the first Wednesday of every month, we get told what our color will be, and then we created a layout. I think it's so fun. I've been doing it all year this year. I'm just finding more time to scrapbook for a lot of these challenges, and I like challenging myself. I think that's kind of helps you grow, and also it helps you dig out products that you kind of have in your stash and you don't use. Believe me, folks, if you're like me, we got piles of stash that need to be used. So if somebody's telling me, use, red or whatever, I can go, hey, I don't always use red. Maybe I will use red, that kind of thing. So it's really nice to have the challenge like that. But anyhow, I'm just using my ATG to just plop down all these little things. I love those cameras. I think they're so cute. And I like the fact that they're black and white. Now, of course, I could have used a different color ink, but I like the black and white. I'm sticking to the color challenge with just a touch of purple. And I think this is perfect. Now, I am going to do a little bit of stamping. I showed earlier that there's like these little flash, I don't know what you call those, stars, I guess. And I'm going to put them on using a silver ink. And you'll notice the first impression that I stamp, it's got all the surrounding areas of the rubber. You'll see right now when I do that. See, I hate that. Usually I'm really good about cleaning the edges off. And after that, they all seem to be fine because I was more conscious of it. But you'll see later, I end up fixing it. At first, I'm thinking, whatever. It's silver. It's metallic. It still looks cool. But no, it ends up bugging me at the end. But this is a very simple layout. And I feel like I've been doing more simple layouts. I'm behind by 2 years. And I know maybe some people are thinking, wow, you're ahead of me, or maybe that's normal to be behind 2 years. But I have so many pictures and I want to scrapbook them all. I actually have time to do it now that I'm retired. And I just, realized that I just love using my supplies and, really getting these pictures on. And I love reliving the things that make our memories special, and whether it's moments or people. And I think that's the best thing about scrapbooking is we don't realize, it's a quote, something like, we didn't realize we were making memories. We just knew we were having fun, or I don't know, something like that. But I love that quote so much because I think being a scrapbooker, you're making memories, even though you are having fun. But when you're going back and looking at all these, just the fact that, we took these pictures of my granddaughter modeling, that probably happens all the time. And the fact that I remember we went to the store and everything she wanted to buy was purple, like she didn't want to vary from it. It was just so fun. But anyhow, so make sure you follow along the hop. We've got some great scrapbookers. And if you want any ideas, you definitely need to follow that hop along. And also if, you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do post at least 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking. The other is whatever it is I'm creating in the command center. And that could be really any kind of crafty items. The command center is the name of my craft room and also my blog. Again, all that information will be in the information box below. And I just hope you enjoy this. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And also, like I mentioned before with the print then cut title, which says future model, if you're interested in knowing how I did that, I will have a link to that video as well. All right. Thank you so much for watching. And like I mentioned before, make sure you hop along and leave comments and love for all those scrapbookers as well. Have a great day. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.